I don't know if I just, is he? Trying to figure out my speaker situation. I think we're good. I don't know why we wouldn't be. All right, well, we're live. Okay. We don't need to hear the song apparently, but okay.
Was that a good one?
Well, sorry for screwing up the beginning because, I'm doing this on my own today, but welcome to Casie Unhinged. It's called Casie Unhinged because I feel everyone needs to be slightly unhinged. I feel like that's important. Can't all just be boring and plain. And I came up with this name because Unhinged is all about having a different side to you that people don't necessarily know about or get to see on the day to day. And that's what I love about it. And that's why I call it this. And I think Unhinged is like the funniest thing to describe, I don't know, just randomness and, day to day life and the things that you do that are just random. So today we have my best friend on the podcast, and her name is Sonia. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a lot of different tangents that will be going on tonight, and the funny part about all of this is that this is pretty much our life together, and this is like how our day to day goes constantly, and it's what makes our friendship, I think, fun and exciting. So she and I met. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. I want to do bio of you first. We're gonna do like a little welcome to the show. Who is Sonia? Sonia is a entrepreneur. She's a woman of many trades. She owns several businesses. Tell us about some of the things that you're doing.
Well, some is Airbnb.
Okay.
And some is then property management, dealing with rentals.
Yeah.
And then cleaning, janitorial, which is probably the grossest, funnest stories.
So janitorial, what kind of janitorial stuff? House cleaning, commercial?
Yeah, everything. Floors, carpets, hazmats, everything.
Yeah, and the hazmat stuff I find extremely interesting because it's always the best stories.
Oh, yeah.
And you're very good at working with people, so I find it like some of that stuff is like, hey, not everybody could do this. Number one, because it's the most disgusting stuff you've ever seen. Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, you have to be able to work with the people that are in the houses and own the homes, because it's not always just like out of sight, out of mind, just come in there and do your thing. It's like you are truly in there working with them, like getting rid of, because it's like hoarder situations.
Yep, that's right.
Some of it's like aftermath, but some of it is like you're in there like working with them, like, okay, let's get rid of this. Like you could probably start a TV show.
Oh, that'd be
on some of the situations.
Oh,
and I think at one time you were going to go do, what is it? The criminal cleanup part? What is that called?
You were scared for me for that because of the juju that went with it.
The juju. Yeah. I was like, that's a lot of bet. I think you to really be like constantly cleansing yourself with that.
Yep.
So why did you decide not to do that?
The availability you have to have. It's 24/7.
Because it's probably like last minute situations where they're like
100%.
Hey, come in here.
It's a car wreck. How quick does a car wreck happen? And then you gotta have to scrape the guts off the concrete of the road before they open the road back up.
I was thinking it was like only house situation, so it's not. It's also
it could be a stabbing in a prison. It could be a road crash. It could be anything. A murder, of course, right? That's probably the most obvious. Anything where there's blood and guts.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Okay. So not only is she that, but she's also a mother.
Yep.
She's 10 years older. Her son is 10 years younger than me. She's also now a grandmother.
Woo-hoo, my favorite. Yep.
And Emerson is two. He'll be 3 in August.
Yep.
Which is crazy. He's a very cute kid. And she's a wife.
Yep.
And she's a badass because she just literally does everything and anything all the time, which is why we get along well, I think. She's just kind of doing what she has to do. She's a hustler. And I think that's where we bond, is like our constant ability to just like vent about business ventures, talk about day-to-day life, like both of us are like work hard, play hard kind of people. We like to go out and hustle and then like enjoy our time.
Oh, always. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to this later, but she's now here in Arizona. As many of you know, I grew up in Minneapolis. I've been here a year and a half. She got an opportunity, it was like 7 months after I moved here, 6 months.
It was March, so
Yeah.
probably at least, yeah.
To get like sort of a vacation sort of ish home out here. So they've been redoing their home and now she gets to be here like slowly more and more. Yeah, redoing that place down there. So now she's here like 6 months out of the year. So I'm like, okay, well, it's like fate and destiny that like, oh, I moved away from you, but like, oh, here she is. Like she's back in the same vicinity. And it's funny because you kind of think we would see each other more, but at the same time, you're like, now you're with your husband and you guys are like redoing stuff and like doing your own adventures. So I'm like, it was probably as much as we would see each other.
I was going to say, we never had a face-to-face relationship in Minnesota either. It was more phone and text.
Yeah,
and
we would.
memes.
Yeah. Like we would make it the point every once in a while. But our thing is that we're gonna go. Like she's been chasing horses down in Apache Junction. There's a lot of beautiful scenery here in Arizona, as many of you know. Maybe you don't know, but like a lot of the, I don't know, just the nature and
it's the Wild West.
The Wild West. I mean, I'm in Scottsdale, which is like city. She's in Apache Junction, which is like just, I don't know, rural.
It's
rural area, mountains, the horses, all the things. So she's like down there figuring out. They have you guys brought your ATV down, seeing the horses, like playing bingo with the old people, just hanging out. And this is what I think was be so fun about this show is because it's like we're so close, but we're in like such different areas of our lives. But for some reason, it's like we're so drawn to each other and just have this like relationship that has never stopped. And we met was it 2018?
No, 2017, because 2018 is
yes, 2017.
Yeah, had to be.
Yeah,
I competed in 2018.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll get into like how her and I met, and we're doing this whole intro episode because the idea is that for the long haul, she's going to be my co-host, and we'll see how much she enjoys it and how fun it is. But we'll
see how much they can hang on to all the secrets and stories.
we have a lot of stories and a lot of secrets, mostly because every single day we talk on the phone at least once a day, sometimes twice. We have been to 4 countries together.
Well,
Mexico counts.
Oh, fuck.
Mexico, Portugal, Iceland, Norway.
Yep.
We flew through Paris, Europe. I don't know. Does that count? Maybe. Several states. I think we went to Florida like 20 times probably during COVID. Virgin Islands, yes, USVI.
Great girls trip. Hot Atlanta.
We did go to Atlanta. That's, kind of another country depending on who you are. So yes, we traveled to many places, and for having just met in 2017, I feel like we've lived like so many different scenarios. So that was like kind of what I wanted to get into, is like the whole scenario of how we met, which was in 2017. Randomly, you call me up while I'm in San Diego with my family for like a family trip. And I was with both of my sisters, their husbands. Brooklyn was, I don't even know how old, like a couple years old. My nephew or my niece and my mom. And we had rented a house on the beach in San Diego, like, hanging out. And you call me up, and you were a referral from a different client of mine. You wanted to do a show, but you literally just left San Diego like the week prior.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, well, not that weird, but kind of weird when you think about it.
How many people just go to San Diego?
I know, because it was in January, or no, March.
Probably March.
March, yeah. Yep. It was like a spring break thing for families. So and she was inquiring because, you tell me you went out to the Arnold or something, right?
Yeah. Went to the Arnold Sports. My ex invited Brian and I, so we went and stayed with him and his girlfriend.
Sonia's friends with her ex-husband and also her husband at the same time. So her ex
invited us out, and he's into bodybuilding. I went to that competition, came back and thought I can do that.
Yeah.
But I needed a coach, and everybody online was $20 an hour, and
that's concerning.
Nothing mentioned about competing. So yeah, I had to dig deeper.
Yeah. So she contacted me about doing some coaching. She wanted to do a show. I came back, and I'm pretty sure you just came and met me at the gym or something.
Yep.
Back then, because I was doing like several competitors, coaching people for shows. I myself have been retired since 2015, so I guess I was only like 2 years out of actually competing. But it was still like coaching several people, and so
I don't know if I knew that you just 2015. That's kind of recent, really.
no, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that recent?
Well, from 2017.
Oh yeah. So I mean, prior to you were, yeah. Like
Yeah.
now I'm like, that's 10 years, girl.
Yeah, that's a decade.
Yeah, at the time I'd only been out of it 2 years, and I think I was just like, my body was messed up just from all of the things. So, but yeah, I took you on because you had April had referred you, and she had won like several shows with me,
Mhm.
and I think she was the one that you had known just from like Facebook or whatever. So anyway, she came to me because she's like, I want to do a show, and then I don't remember at what point I was like, all right, let's just kind of like start and get a feel for where you're at. And then I don't know how quickly I was like, all right, I think we should shoot for like a year from now.
Yeah, I by that January. Well, January is when I got super serious. I didn't understand food.
Like so many times. She'd come to the gym, like she had a set meal plan. It would be like exactly the amount that you have to eat, exactly the food source. And I'd be like, how's your diet going? She's like, great. It's going so good. And I'm like, all right, like, tell me about your meals, whatever. We started talking, and it'd be like, she maybe got like 1 or 2 of the meals in like the entire day. And I'm like, this whole menu is like for the whole day, like all these meals apply. You have to get in all of them, And so like, you'd be like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, there's something that's still not clicking in there. Like, she's not listening to what I'm saying. So then it was like after several weeks, you'd be like, oh, and then I'd like see the lights go off like behind your head or whatever. And
Yep.
I'm like, at some point when I was like, okay, she finally gets it. And like now she's, doing all the things. And then I think when you finally got to that point, it was like we had like 3 or 4 months of like that consistency.
Yeah.
And then it was like your body was like really picking up and like seeing those results.
Oh my gosh, it was almost like I was, almost subhuman.
Yeah.
The muscle just like.
Yeah. She's packing it on.
Got a booty.
Well, I mean, tell them your like physical background, like what your lifestyle used to be like and what you looked like when we started. Like,
oh geez, I really enjoyed drinking and smoking cigarettes.
but I mean, way in the past.
Yeah.
But like you were like our busy entrepreneur cleaner. Like you didn't eat a ton. Like you just kind of like, it wasn't like you weren't like obese or like overweight or anything.
Well, skinny fat is what we call it.
And I don't even know, like, if looking back at your pictures that I would qualify that. You just were like thin and like you didn't have a lot of muscle tone. You didn't have a lot of shape.
Skinny fat.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I was skinny in clothes.
But you weren't like saggy skin. Like
No,
when I think
no.
skinny fat, I think like you had like all this like,
oh no,
like you take your pants off and there's like skin that's hanging
zero
down.
definition.
Yeah.
No shape.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
I mean, you were harder on yourself than I would have said, but you definitely had a pancake butt.
Yes.
Yeah. The pancake ass. So you definitely had that. You just didn't have a lot of experience. So I think you trained with me 3 days a week most of the time.
Yep.
And this was back when I was training several clients a week. I was also doing the online coaching stuff. That was like kind of 50-50 at that point with my business. And so then, I think come January, we were like, all right, let's like put something on the book so we can like really hone in, and I think this is like this start. So like, it was probably around like, I don't know, like 1 year mark it was like a year and 2 months when you did the show from the time we had met. But that whole spring, I mean, she was like shredded. I wish I could like flash a picture on the screen of how she looked like. I don't know, maybe I'll go back and put it in the comments somehow later. But just like came such a long way. And I think you placed not like at the top of your class or whatever, but I'm like, you looked amazing. Like your thing was just like the posing part and whatever, which is like kind of always what it is in your first show, where you're just like inexperienced with like being comfortable on stage.
But
and
I think there was a woman with pancake abs that beat me.
Yeah.
And I built a lot of booty.
You did.
That was.
I know. But the unfortunate part of the situation was, this is like one of the things that we got so close about, was we have gone through so many different life changing and altering events throughout our friendship. And it's like, when you are with somebody that often, exchanging that much and like checking in with them so often, like throughout the week, where like you're seeing me several times a week and we're texting about certain things, or you're checking in about certain things, it's like it becomes a part of your routine in your day to day. You get so comfortable with somebody. And it's like why I've developed so many friendships from the clients that I've trained in person too. But it just so happens that like with her specifically, like her and I both went through so many different things like throughout our training and like relationship, where we just got close and it just happened. And so the day before her show, like your show was on a Saturday, and it was Thursday night at like 6 or 7 o'clock. Like I was supposed to go down and see you at a hotel to check
On
in
the 7th.
yeah,
Yep.
to check in and see you just in person to see how she looked. And I'm at the gym that week. So my little sister had a high risk pregnancy with my brother-in-law, and at the point where the baby could be potentially not doing as well inside the womb than outside, they admit you to just monitor more closely, right? And they knew that there was a high risk pregnancy with my nephew that was to be, and so this was expected. So Monday of that week, my sister got admitted to the hospital on Monday. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, had been sick for a very long, like for a couple months. Like we said, it was allergies, immune system, like who knows, whatever. I just moved into my new place in St. Louis Park.
Yeah,
They all
that's
came and helped me move. He came and hung my mirror that week. Like there was just a lot of stuff going on. We had my cousin's funeral on Wednesday of that week
I forgot
also,
about that. Yeah.
which was like very unexpected. And then on Thursday, so Monday night, my sister was admitted. That same night, my brother-in-law went home from the hospital to see my sister, started coughing up blood. They were like, hey, we have to admit you to the emergency room. They were like, hey, you can go to this hospital in Burnsville or this hospital downtown. It's like, oh, well, my wife's there. So like, we're going to admit you, like, we'll just admit you to the same hospital in a different wing. So that's how they lived for like 2 days. And then come Thursday, my mom was like, oh yeah, like, or my sister's family text, they got to go in and drain his lungs because like there's all this fluid buildup. They were like, oh, he has vasculitis. Like we found out what it was. They put him on some steroids. And we're like, well, great. They figured out what it was. I'm going to fast forward to this because it's a long story. So I get a text Thursday at some point on my way to the gym. Hey, they're going to intubate him and drain his lungs. There's a lot of fluid buildup. And I'm like, that seems like a lot, sort of stressful. So I'm at the gym, like sort of anxious. Right as I'm about to walk out, I get a text from my mom as I'm going to go see you that says, you need to get to the hospital now. He's not going to make it. And so I am like frantic. I immediately call you when I get to the car, and I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm trying to drive down I-94 in Minnesota, like towards the hospital to get there. And I proceeded to spend the rest of the night with my family in the ER room. My brother-in-law had been out for over an hour without a pulse. When they finally got it back, mostly people had left, and they're like, oh, it's just a waiting game. So it was just like me, my sister, my mom. And then while we were in the waiting room, I'm like, okay, I guess we're just waiting. And I was kind of in the hallway, and, I was like the last one left with me, my mom, my sister. And I was in the hallway texting my other sister, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go. Like, if it's just waiting, like, I guess I don't know what else to do. My mom was like, I just talked to the nurse as she walked by. Like, he's not going to make it. Like, can you please stay? And I was like, absolutely. So then I had to watch the doctors tell my little sister that my brother-in-law was not going to make it. At this point, I'm a little bit numb about all of it, which is like a very sad scenario, but you learn how to like keep your composure talking about certain things. But yeah, it's still like is a very tough scenario. So me, my mom, and my sister went in to say goodbye to my brother-in-law and had to pretty much hold her up from passing out several times while she said goodbye to her husband 3 days before they had their baby. And then, yeah, that whole summer, my sister was in the hospital with my nephew, who was born high-risk pregnancy. He was 2 pounds. He's had 4 or 5 heart surgeries throughout that period of time. He's almost died 4 times, even right before I moved here. And so,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
that was that day. So then the next day, so that's Friday. So then I remember coming to see you at the hotel that next day because I was just in like, I woke up bawling and I was just like, I gotta like figure something out. So I remember coming to see you at the hotel and like I was like sorted together and kind of there. And then the show was Saturday. And it was just, yeah, it was just like a hard day because it was like there was such a build up to your show and it was so exciting. But I was like, I remember walking behind the pillar at the event, just like to ball my eyes up quick to like come back and like have my composure to be like, all right, go Sonia. And like, I was like the first day I met like all the girls from your city and like your friends and like everybody who I was like first introduced to. And I was like a mess and like not there. And you guys were going to celebrate after and I wanted to be there. And I was like, I'm going to go sit in the hospital room with my sister who can't even compute words right now. And like,
Yeah.
hang out. So that was just, yeah, that was like it's like the first big event of all the things that kind of started.
Well, and that Thursday on the 7th is when our family was told my dad was given 6 months or less.
That
was that
2
same.
days before your show.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So there was just a lot of bad news around that show.
That's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
You and I have traced back this so many times that we can never like get all
Well,
the
that
events
wasn't
straight.
even the original show. I was supposed to do the Viking or something in Duluth, and they canceled the show
In May, that's right.
Yes. So
That's right.
it was just weird.
Yeah, and then so do you remember the timeline of all the other events? Because so your dad had 6 months to live. You found out right that same week of all the other crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was pretty much in the hospital all summer with my nephew and family and just like all the grief we were going through with like
Oh
my
my
nephew.
gosh! But remember, you and I went to the gym because now I'm coming down off the show, and I need a good workout. We were gonna meet. And we were like, okay, yeah, we get some girl talk, whatever. And then they airlifted my little brother to HBMC. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, because he was in a car wreck. And somebody notified me wondering, how's your brother? I'm like, why? What happened? They said, well, he was wrapped around a tree in a car accident.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that.
And so I pulled up in front of the gym and you were in there. And so you came out and sat in my car. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go see if he's alive.
I was probably like half there mentally already.
Yeah. I forgot about that till right now. I don't know when you and I met in the gym again. Everybody just kept having to go to the hospital.
Yeah. Okay. So then your dad ended up passing away when? December.
Yeah.
And then my nephew had his first heart surgery. This is a very depressing episode. My nephew had his first heart surgery in January, to which he had to get on ECMO and almost died for the first time. And so that was like a rough couple of months because then he was in the hospital like another 120 days. And a lot of my life was spent like feeling, I mean, no one in my family feels bad at this point because we all had to go through it. But I'm like, you just feel guilty when people are in the hospital and suffering and like nobody's happy and everyone's sad and depressed. And it's like, you feel like you can't live your life and whatever. So like, that was like the good first year and a half of like that whole, like from the start of when my brother-in-law passed to like that whole next summer even. So like a year and a half of that.
Well, and then there's always, then
the same week, your mom.
Mom. Well, it was diagnosed with cancer in August.
Yep.
As was your grandma.
And my grandma.
Yes. So
of that summer, next summer.
Yep. Because yes.
So yeah, the same week, her mom gets like she had cancer a couple times.
That was her second time, yeah.
Second time getting cancer, and then my grandma goes in for like a normal physical and is like, "Hey, I have this like lump on my hip," and a nurse practitioner, I'm pretty sure is a nurse practitioner, which they're honestly, I mean, no offense to the nurse practitioners out there, but like for normal physicals are usually just like, oh wait, I'm sure you're fine. Like take some ibuprofen. It's like usually how they are. Was like, let's do an MRI. What nurse practitioner says that? My grandma's like, I have some like pain on my hip. Like I'm just feeling like whatever. She kind of felt it. There was like a little bump there.
Most people would say it's arthritis.
Let's do an MRI. The nurse practitioner says they do an MRI. My grandma has a tumor the size of a grapefruit eating away at her entire hip, stage 4, I always get this wrong. I always want to say lymphoma. I think it's lymphoma. What's the other L one? Leukemia.
I was gonna say
It was
lupus.
lymphoma. Leukemia and lymphoma. I always get confused. It was lymphoma. Stage 4 lymphoma. If you would in 3 weeks, you'd be dead. They told my grandma randomly at her thing. By the grace of God, she was saved. So yes, so we were like, I was helping bring my grandma to some chemo appointments and doing all that. My mom was like my new sister's live-in co-parent for the summer, so we were all like juggling things. And at the same time, your mom was now going through some intensive
Yep.
chemo and stuff.
Chemo, radiation.
And so it was August she was diagnosed, and then it was end of October
Yep.
she passed away.
Yep.
And so that was obviously a very awful period of time. And you were then like bedside with her the entire time, pretty much.
Yep.
And so then, yeah, what was the next shit show we went through after that? I'm just trying to think. I don't know. The other the other 3 times my nephew almost died. I don't know. Like, just so there's just been like so many. I feel like there's other things that happened after that.
I think that's what really expelled us into life is too short. Let's travel. Whatever plan we thought we were gonna wait on.
Well, because what year was that with your mom?
That was 2019. So 2020. Oh God, we have COVID in there. Oh, I got married.
Well, yeah. No. So, but your mom. So it was 2019. Your mom passed.
Yep.
And then like 4 months later, you get freaking married.
Yep. We went to Napa that January.
Yeah. But like, so I think that was what was also sad is like your mom passes away right before the wedding. And you and Brian had been engaged so long, but you were like waiting for the date. And then like, both of your parents have passed away in the last year. And now you're getting married and neither one of them can be there. So it was just like a very like emotional time.
Super emotional.
You know, and like my grandma was still going through chemo and like then so then we're like, okay, you were like, let's go big. Like, I want to like live life, have the people around me that matter. And then, I don't know, in Faribault, Minnesota, if you guys know anything about Faribault, Minnesota, there's not a lot to do down there. So a lot of these people just hang out and drink wine and just like, I don't know, plan trips. Like, it's like when we drink, what sort of events should we like? They get really terrible ideas sometimes. Sometimes they're actually really good ideas.
I think most are really good.
Most are good ideas, but you always know when you get a call and there's like several people on the line that there's like some sort of get together where they've all drummed up some interesting idea.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say is like
the night before.
We had never really hung out outside of like the gym and our trauma of the gym and like just being on the phone and like seeing each other at the gym.
Not really.
Until you were like with the girls one night and you're like, we're planning a bachelorette trip. And I don't know, did you have other options for that? Or how did you decide on Napa?
I just wanted to go to Napa.
Yeah.
And I think all the girls with wine-induced thinking said, we do too.
Yeah. We love wine. That's a great idea.
We should go to Napa for a bachelorette. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you called me up and you're like, hey, like I'm getting all these girls together for this Napa trip from a bachelorette. Do you want to go? And I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. This was pre finding out about COVID. And so there was 10 of us girls, 10 total. And then like we hired you hired a DD/photographer to drive us around and take pictures of us drinking. Cause that's a good idea, and videos. Which to this day we have not seen. Well, we've seen some of them. I think the rest I don't really want to see, but
I want to see them.
She got like a 15-passenger van, so she just literally drove us around to the wineries. There was 10 of us. We had wine in the vans. Then we went to the wineries.
Ferrari? Oh God.
Yeah. So Sonia's a car girl. I don't know. You guys have like several cars. Love all the cars. They go to all the car shows, which is why she lives being in Arizona now.
There's nothing. But
so we were at one of these wineries, and a guy was actually on a date with this woman. He was on a date with this woman, and Sonia walks up, and she's, she gets real like. I think that's why we're also similar, because you get a little sassy when you're like
it could be
in your mood too, which I love.
Wine helps.
And she's like, is that your Ferrari? Oh, because I think
no,
right.
he had a Ferrari coat.
Yeah.
And I walked up and I said, that is a sweet ride.
Yeah. Well, because right when we pulled up, I'm like, we start doing photo shoot ops like in front of the Ferrari. Because I was like, we got to get pictures of this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we start taking pictures in front of the Ferrari, and then we walk in. He's got a Ferrari coat on, of course, because if you drive a Ferrari, you have to have a Ferrari coat on, so everybody knows it's your Ferrari, right? So then, of course, she identified who the Ferrari man was, and you just walked straight up to him.
Yep. But then I left it alone because he was with her and whatever that was.
Yeah.
I didn't know. None of us knew, and then it was
Minnesota Nights. You were just being a very friendly woman.
Just hey, like your car.
Yeah.
And then there was a tap.
Wasn't it yellow? Wasn't it yellow?
No.
His Ferrari?
It was red.
Okay.
Oh. And so there's a tap, and he said, I'm going to use the restroom, and then I'm going to give you a ride. I was like, what? So the photographer got ready.
But she couldn't fit in, I thought.
No, she was out there. She took video.
Oh, but not in the car.
Away. Yeah, no,
Yeah, because we wanted him to get.
Oh,
we wanted her
GoPro.
to get in the back of the Ferrari to take pictures of and video the whole event. But he was like, "You're not going to fit," and I think he wanted her to himself in a way because he was. Yeah, you were looking hot that day.
He said, "You look yummy." I think yummy was the word.
But the funniest part is that he was literally on a date.
Yeah.
And he left his date to bring her on a ride. And I'm pretty sure back by those wineries, it was like a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Oh, for sure. They're so.
And you guys, what was your top speed that you went?
We 90 something, I think.
Yeah.
The guy was, And I called Brian right before. I said,
call my husband and tell him that a random stranger bringing me.
I'm going on a car ride in a Ferrari with this guy.
Yeah.
And his best friend was next to him and said, she's never coming home, right? She's just going to stay with the Ferrari guy in Napa.
Right. See, I don't remember how much later. I don't know why I wasn't even really that concerned, but I'm like, I mean, I think we were all just so
because you guys are in a winery drinking wine.
But I think we just thought it was so cool. I mean, none of us are that naive to think like, oh, whatever. But I'm like, it was during the day.
Well, and he had to go back and get his date at some point.
I mean, I don't even actually know what happened to her. Was she still there? But she was sitting in the corner like. He locked her in the cellar while you were out there waiting.
What would you do?
Glass of wine.
What would you do? I'd be like,
I wish I actually would have paid attention to what she was doing because I think I just didn't understand really that it was a date or something.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really weird.
Yeah. Well, you have a Ferrari. Anything goes.
I know, but if you were not an attractive woman, he would have been like, I'm not bringing you on a Ferrari ride.
Yeah, no, because that girl I think was kind of cute if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
So that trip was insane.
Oh, but let's not forget, as we almost missed our flight to go back to Minnesota in San Francisco, they're calling us overhead, and they're shutting the San Francisco airport down because of COVID.
Okay, can we rewind back
okay.
9 hours prior to when we almost missed our flight back because I woke up at 3 a.m. to her vomiting on the bathroom floor. And I was like, what is that noise? So I walk in there and she's just like, hi, I'm not feeling good. I was like, yeah, I can hear that. I'm thinking that she's maybe hungover or something, but you're like, I think you were like, I'm not good or something.
It was bad.
And so then I don't know. So then I was stressed out because the next day it was you're in Napa and it's a 3.5 hour, 3 hour drive to the airport.
In that kind of rush hour, yeah.
And I was like, this girl's gonna poop her pants or puke on me on the ride back. And I'm stressed out about that. So I was like, I don't know, this is how strong I know that you are mentally is that I think if you would have just been conveniently located next to a toilet for that 3.5 hours, you probably would have been puking your brain out.
Yeah.
But I think because we were in a vehicle, there's a part of you that was the whole time I'm not gonna puke. I'm gonna just keep going. And I was the whole time just oh my God, she is not gonna be okay. And I remember taking out my peppermint oil and being making you huff
helpful.
it, chew the peppermint gum, huff this peppermint oil. I was anything I can do to get this woman to the airport because I'm we're in a 5-lane highway and if you have to shit your pants, I don't know what we're gonna do.
And and then with the traffic being so bad, we didn't count on it. We're just so late. We're running. Oh
Yeah, so we're running behind. They're calling her name over the intercom. San Francisco airport's awful. We almost missed our flight. We get on the flight. I sit next to her on the flight the whole time. She was also fine on the flight. I don't know how. And then we get back, and the next few days, like 5 of you guys are like so deathly ill. And it was like the next day where they like announced about COVID going through one of the San Francisco airports. And we're just like, oh, that's nice.
We were the last flight to go through, I think. They shut it down.
And so, yeah, so I was like, I didn't get sick, which I'm surprised because I was like sharing, I think we shared a bed maybe while we were in Napa.
We did. And then the photographer got sick. She was on the couch.
She was sick. And then I sat next to you on the flight.
And she was in our room.
This is another thing about Sonia is she's guaranteed to puke about 80% of each trip that she goes on for one reason or another. Like you were never going to go on a trip with her if she's not like sick at least one time randomly. I don't know why. But I just like, it doesn't surprise me anymore.
Yeah, I should just have anti-nausea meds all the time.
I know, but it's always just like a random reason. Like sometimes it's food poisoning. Sometimes it's you're actually sick with the flu. Sometimes you're hungover and drunk. Sometimes it's
gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, that was like the first trip where I feel like we all bonded. And then you got married a month later.
Yeah.
In Virginia because you guys have some property there. And Brian, your husband, has family that's like from Virginia, so we spent a lot of time there.
North Carolina. He grew up there.
Yeah. So like you were like, I want to be in the mountains when I get married.
Yeah.
It's like my goal.
It was so pretty.
Yeah. And so then we had obviously like bonded on that one trip, but I came to do your hair and makeup for the thing, but also just be like, hey, this is like one of my new favorite people. Like I want to be there, whatever. And so, then I was like, well, I've always wanted to go to Nashville. And I think I was the one who like threw the idea out.
Is that how that all came about?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so then you're like, well, Nashville's only like a few hours from, was it Abingdon that you guys got married? Well, also if you don't know this about Sonia yet, but she's a planner, but not really. When I say planner, I mean, not really actually. So she gets herself into a lot of scenarios where she has poor planning. And so,
or no planning,
or like, she just is like, oh yeah, that'll be great. And then like, doesn't look into anything else at all. So one of the things was she got her marriage license for the wrong place.
Virginia. And we were getting in phone back is, Tennessee. So we had to start the wedding. We had the wedding in the Appalachian in Tennessee, but we had to push pause and then go back into the city of Virginia, Damascus, and say I do to be able to make it legal.
Because I think we thought the wedding was technically in Virginia, but it wasn't. It was technically in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you get married here, like it's not going to be actually legal.
Yeah.
So we started the ceremony in the mountains and it was snowing. It was like the most beautiful thing ever. And then we're like, pause, and then we all drove like 15 minutes across over the border to like this little bridge.
Yep.
And then it was like really snowing. And then who was it that did the
Reverend, maybe?
Reverend, okay.
Pastor, I don't know.
Pastor, who then finished the scenario and like made it legit. And so
we're legal.
So then they're legal. So that was like maybe one of the first things I experienced with that. But it was like, I mean, like easy mistake. Come to find out that's like a normal thing for Sonia to be doing.
I just do that a lot.
Whatever. I think we should sit down and make a list of like the things that have happened.
But it always remember when I forgot to book us back from the Virgin Islands and we almost got stuck?
No, I was not with you on that.
No, but Brian and I.
Yeah, but that was before we went.
Yeah, but still, I mean that.
You got to Miami and you didn't have a flight or something, right?
Got to the airport in the Virgin Islands and didn't have a flight to the U.S.
Didn't have a flight home.
Kids did. It always works out.
That's her motto. People think I'm controlling, and now they know why. Did you do this? Do you want me to do it? And this is why we get along though, because she's so laid back that she's like so fun to travel with. Because I'll be like, oh, do you feel like going over here to like check this out? She's like, yeah, that sounds great. So I'm like, this is great. This is fun. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing things out and you're just down for anything. So it's fun. But she's so like, well, whatever happens, that it's like sometimes she plans nothing, you know? And so then, you know,
But I mean, I planned
you do.
Kilimanjaro for months, and then my luggage didn't show up. So see what planning gets me.
I know. We have so many things to talk about. This woman hiked Kilimanjaro. She hiked Machu Picchu. She's hiked all the things. She hiked in flip-flops for the first day of Kilimanjaro, and we'll talk about that at another point. But yeah, so many stories. Okay. So yes, after that, we just started traveling then, and COVID
Yeah.
hit, and people were just in Faribault, Minnesota. People have heated barns, and they hang out in the barns and drink wine. And in Minneapolis, we weren't allowed on the streets. So I would just go
Yeah.
down to Faribault and hang out with the
Hang out in the
girls in the heated barns, and we'd have drink wine, and everyone would bring like an appetizer to share, and I would just stay down there for the night, and like we'd just hang out. And that was like all of us got close. Like now I'm friends with several people down in that area that I actually also travel out here to Arizona now, and now we're all like all connected, and it's like 5 or 6 years in it, which is just crazy to think about.
Geez.
And we've all traveled a ton too now, like gone to Florida and like US Virgin Islands.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, all
Here.
California, Arizona. Yeah, here, like how I started
Scottsdale.
coming to Arizona and Scottsdale in the first place was with some of these women years back. And
Yeah.
so it's just like it's kind of cool how it's evolved. And then we went on several trips, and then you did that show, and then through your stress of your parents stuff and whatever back and forth, like you kind of were like, oh, I might do another show, and then just like different things kind of happened and kind of came up, and it was like not the right timing, but you kept like doing stuff. But like one of the big things with your system too is like we started doing a lot of your hormone stuff, and I don't think that was until like maybe a good like 2 years after you did your first show where we finally did some labs and stuff.
Yeah.
And found some pretty extreme imbalances. Changed some stuff, and I remember that spring where you were like your back was like crazy.
Oh
Gosh,
I forgot about that.
you had put on like 30 pounds, but it was like after your mom, after your dad, like there was just a lot. Like I think it was the year after your wedding. I want to say that it was possibly. It's kind of a blur now, but I remember where I was like, all right, let's get some labs. You had like some severe estrogen dominance issues, some severe bottomed out stuff. We changed some of your protocols, and you dropped like 30 pounds in like 2 months. Your back pain was gone.
It was gone the day after you put me on progesterone.
Yeah. So she had some severe estrogen dominance issues, put her on some bioidentical progesterone. She dropped 30 pounds in a couple months. Her back pain was gone. Like so many different balances. And I mean, it makes sense. Like the stress of things can cause some of that. I mean, there's a lot of different things with dietary and lifestyle, whatever. But looking back at some of your history, your mom's, breast cancer and some different things, it's like, I think that was like a reoccurring issue because you had like an ablation years back for like super heavy periods, and like all of those things like sort of made sense with some of the symptoms you had. So that was like kind of a cool, sort of experience to go through. And then we were able to like kind of do a lot of your labs and stuff. I feel like there's like a lot of different random health scenarios and stuff we went through. And then I actually coached Dante, her son, for a show. And I'm trying to remember what year was that?
Was that 20?
It was the year. Yeah, maybe the year after your wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I coached her son. So her son's 10 years younger. Did a show. He's 6'3".
Yeah.
He'd weighed 100. What was his lowest?
6'3" or 6'4"?
Maybe 6'4".
Yeah.
Wasn't he like 150 pounds
at one point? Remember when he was living in Rhode Island and he flew home for a visit and he couldn't even lift what I was lifting? He was just a little scrawny thing.
Yeah, literally like 150 pounds. And then I think he got up to like 215 or 220, 225.
Yeah, he was big.
We just had him like he was eating so much food, like lifting heavy. And the kid just like,
yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. And then there was some of his different random, he's like, I'm getting tingling in my feet. I mean, I worked with your husband now on his stuff, doing his labs. I work with Dante on some of his stuff. Like, yeah, I feel like most of the people in the family.
Dante's ex-girlfriend, she had kinkles. She couldn't get rid of. You got rid of those for her.
Yeah, just hormone imbalances. So yeah, we've done all the health things. But let's talk about like recent stuff. So in recent years, as we mentioned, she's been out here since last spring, which she then moved home. Like you guys were only out here like once or twice last spring to like get the place when you like last minute got this opportunity. What is she doing right there? My cat is hungry. She's ready to eat soon. Okay, you have an hour, baby. So you guys were here for like a time or two, and then you kind of came. So then this summer, then in July, so one of the trips, we'll get into all of our trip shenanigans because probably on the next episode because it's like a whole nother animal to talk about. But we were in Portugal the summer before I moved here to Arizona. So one of my other very good friends moved to Portugal with her newlywed husband right before I moved to Arizona. And so we went to go visit her because why wouldn't we go to see Portugal? It's beautiful. So we went out there to like have a beautiful trip. And you had just had a biopsy done.
Oh yeah.
That's
almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. So that was like right before I moved.
Yeah.
On some breast tissue. And while we were on the beach in Portugal, you got a call from your doctor.
Yep.
Saying it was positive for breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you went back, and I'm trying to remember like the time frame on how quickly you had that removed. It was like within a month, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So you just had a lumpectomy.
Mm-hmm. And radiation.
And like, oh yeah. So then the week before I move, they say we're going to do these double blasts of radiation. You're going to go 3 times a week for 4 treatments and you're done. And it was right before I was moving. And this amazing woman is like, she loves to drive, which is just crazy, which I mean, I like to drive too, but I don't love road trips. She loves road trips. They do road trips across the country. I feel like I get bored. Anyways, I had 2 cats at the time. So she's like, I will drive your car the whole time. You can take care of your cats. You can work. Great. It's like a 3-day drive commitment sort of thing. She had committed to that. Then she has this lumpectomy. Then she has to do radiation. She feels like crap. She's like, no, I'm driving you. So then she drove like the entire time, my car. I had my cats in the back seat. I had to drug them twice a day just to keep them calm. They had their own tent. They were like shitting in the litter box in the back seat.
Tipping them over to like ding.
It was, I literally had to slather the medication in coconut oil and then like gag the cat down twice a day. My fingers were just like full of like teeth marks. Because I felt bad, but I was like, it's gonna be worse if you're not drugged up. So, anyways, so yeah, we did that for 3 days and whatever. And like, also, when I went to move out of my place that I'd been for 5.5 years, I rented a pod. And the pod, I was like, hey, I'm getting rid of my couch, all this stuff. It's like, hey, it fits a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm like, I have a 1-bedroom apartment. Great.
Yeah.
Do people who have 1-bedroom apartments not put as much stuff in their apartment as I do? Because I got rid of a lot of stuff and I still did not have enough room in my pod. And so I had like, what did I have left? I had 3 bar stools left. I had my like living room, like ladder shelf. I had like all my shoe shelf racks. And I think there was like maybe one other item. And I was like, I'm going to have to toss it. And she like, without a thought, calls up her husband, Brian. And she's like, literally the day of my move. Brian, what do you feel like about going on a road trip? We're bringing Casie out to Arizona and you're going to follow us in the work van all the way with the rest of her crap because she doesn't know how to calculate her things correctly. I was like, you are not doing that. She's like, nope, it's done. No talk about it. Nope. And I was like, oh my God. I was like bawling my eyes out. I was like, stop it. You really was like, seriously, who are you?
He was so excited.
And they're legitimately excited to drive the Mercedes work van across whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Brian felt not only did she drive me and the cats, and we had to stop 2 nights in a row. I had to haul the litter boxes in, haul the cats, haul the things. She's driving. I'm drugging the cats. Brian's following in the work van.
And there was that one hotel where the cat somehow got under the bed. So Brian had to come lift the whole bed up so you could go and retrieve the cat.
It was so stressful. It was so stressful. So yeah, so we're running around, doing the move across the country, and yeah, so that was kind of how that whole thing went. But yeah, so she don't even know why we got off on the tangent about you bringing me to Arizona, but
Oh, the lumpectomy, but I mean, it worked out. Radiation was around.
yeah. So
the
yeah.
time
So
of
she
the
got
road
through all
trip.
that stuff, and then I moved here. She gets their place last spring.
Yeah.
Almost 1 year to the date. This past summer, she's feeling something else. They're like, "Hey, it's back." In which case, you decide, right? My mom died of breast cancer. Some other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So just in
Mhm.
September, actually, she had a double mastectomy. However, she was gonna like hike another fucking mountain in the meantime. So she had this, she's hiked Kilimanjaro, Machu Picchu, and she's like, we're gonna do the Dolomites because I don't know, you're not even a hiker, so it's crazy. Like you just sort of like set out to like do these things. Like she's just like the
Yeah.
most mentally strong person. So she's like, we're gonna do the Dolomites in Italy, and I'm gonna come back, and then I'm gonna lob them off.
Mhm.
So she went and hiked the Dolomites, which is just crazy, amazing. Comes back, has her double mastectomy. I'm out here in Arizona. I'm like, who's going to take care of you? Brian has to work the whole time, knowing how Sonia prepares for things. I'm like, who's going to take care of you? You're not going to be able to move. So then I was like making a schedule of like people to come help and figure out some stuff.
Medication.
Like, do you need to make a list? Like, I want to be like, help you organize. Like, how do we get this figured out for you? So I was arranging like people to be there for certain times and days, and like, who's going to help with this? Like, who can call? Here's a list of names. Like, here's where you track this stuff. And I feel like it all ended up like working out okay. And like,
Yeah.
at least,
You could direct from afar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They reported to you, which was nice.
Yeah. Like, please text me because anyways. So she went through that all fall, and then your last treatment was just right after New Year's. Like
January 2nd.
You guys came out here for a little bit and you were kind of flying back and forth.
Mhm.
And then January 2nd. And then now you're gonna have your reconstruction here at the end of
May 8th.
May 8th. Yeah. So anyways, like we've just, kind of been through a lot of things and a lot of different journeys.
In a short amount of time, really.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I don't know, like with as much as I went through with my family and my brother-in-law, my nephew, like he was in the hospital when I just moved here, still like fighting for his life.
And he's still going through it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of health stuff. It's never ending stuff with him. And then the stuff with you or whatever, I'm just like, you and I have come to this place where it's like life is too short. Like neither one of us, I feel like, don't do the things that we set out to do or that we say we want to do. And like you and I talk every day because it's one of those things where it's like we're so peaceful and grounding, even if we have to vent about something where, hey, like I know you're stressed and you're doing all this stuff, but you work hard, you're working toward your goals, even if things aren't like amazing right now or whatever it is that you're doing, like you're doing what you said you wanted to do. Like I moved here away from everybody. I knew nobody here. Did I want to leave my friends? Like not really, but I was like, I know where I want my life to be. I know what I want to do. Like I want this for myself. I know what it is I, want to have in my life and whatever. And then it's like, you just see how all the pieces kind of fall into place. And I feel like you live your life similarly where you're like, hey, I want to enjoy life. I want to travel. I would love to have to not be here all the time, whatever. I move here, whatever. Suddenly you get this opportunity to be in Arizona and have this place and be here and, have some of these Airbnbs where you can be away some of the time. And it's like, I think that's just like one of those reassuring things where it's like life is crazy and you have to just live out what it is that you want to do, but you also have to follow what is it that I want ultimately, and let the pieces kind of fall into place. And I feel like you and I have always done that, and those are the kind of things that we talk about. I mean, we have a million weird, hilarious stories. We don't take life so serious where we can't enjoy the funny moments and we can't laugh at ourselves and work hard, play hard, but we also have this very deep whatever. We've both been through a lot of different things in different ways, and we're both at two different kind of random points of our lives, but it's we complete each other in different random ways, which I think is the coolest part.
Yeah.
So
and then just a little pop of chaos in there.
Yeah. We haven't stirred things up for a bit. Where should we go now? Let's go on a trip somewhere and figure out something crazy to get into.
Oh, gosh.
I know. So I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of other things to talk about, but like, so you'll be back. You'll probably go back to Minnesota. Like, you'll go back end of May or April.
End of April. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. For the season, then
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah. So yeah. And so what's your goal for this next year is to just be there for the nice part and then be back out here by like mid-ish fall.
Not fall. Fall, I'm still really busy.
After fall. Yeah.
Probably more
early
like
winter.
Christmassy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I'll be in Antarctica in January though.
That's right. Okay. She wants to go to all 7 continents, which I know she will do. I have zero desire to do that.
I wish you did. It'd be so fun to go to Australia.
Australia, yes. Antarctica, no.
Well, you
Like,
could just make it one round trip.
I know, but I'm like, I mean, I don't know, maybe at some point. The thought of like how much it costs to go to Antarctica to like step in a frozen ground and like just
See the
sail into another
penguins?
country. I'm like, I feel like at this point it doesn't seem like exciting to me.
Well, you might change your mind by January.
Could be true.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, but we have like several things that we didn't get to, which we want to talk about like some of our funniest memories on trips and whatever. And she's one of those people, like I've been single like 2 years now, but prior to that I was single for a long time from the time we met. And so she's like obviously been shacked up with her husband, living the married life, but she gets to hear all of my fun stories and I get to call her after things happen. And I feel like maybe other women all have this, but I feel like some of my scenarios have been like some of the weirdest.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's like she's just on the outside and she gets to just listen and give her random input and
Or
laugh. And just laugh. And actually she does some research too, which I think is kind of funny.
Oh,
like
I'm really
her husband also gets like a little bit overly invested sometimes where
Yep.
like he'll be chiming in the background of like a call and I'll be like, wow, I'm like, I love that you're into this story. So anyways,
And
we have
investigative reporting.
Investigative reporting. So we have a lot more fun memories and stories and interesting topics because we just get off on a lot of random tangents about just like random things. So anyways, tune in for some of the next episodes where we get into some of these things every week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know now with the time change, it's a little bit later for you guys, but probably the same time for you, just the same earlier for me. I don't know. The time change confuses me in Arizona because we don't change. So
yeah,
it's an hour earlier here than the East Coast.
2 hours
from normal. Like it was 2 hours ahead. Now it's 3
now
hours.
it's
3 hours. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm saying. But thanks for tuning in tonight. And hopefully you guys join us again soon for more shenanigans and chats about our life stories.
For dating.
It's not just be about my dating. Okay. We have a lot of really important knowledge to share with the world. I feel
Probably.
people need to hear our ideas.
I think so. No.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next
Yeah.
week.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.